Will Vere survive the visit of Montego Bay? Will Waterhouse snap Racing's unbeaten run? And Messi's Inter Miami is underway. All this and more on this Match Week 27 preview show. Yes, welcome back to Jump Hill Fan. We finally arrived at the start of round 3. Only 13 games remaining, so let's start right away with a big match that affects both ends of the table. Vere Phoenix United versus Montego Bay United. There is no question that Mobe will return to the playoffs this season, but the question remains, will they get there as a top 2 team? The team is unbeaten in their last 4 games, but with only 1 win during that run, things have gone off the boil a little bit. The shocking departure of the head coach Rudolph Zapata hasn't helped, and new coach Paul Teagat Davis will need some time to readjust to managing at this level. Something the wily veteran Lenny Hyde has no need for, of course, but the teacher will need all of his skills and experience to keep his club in the league this season. Currently sitting in the 13th position with only 19 points from 26 matches played, the great escape is looking unlikely. To make matters even worse, they may be without one of their better players in Denzel McKenzie once again, which is a shame as it seemed he was striking up a lethal partnership with Tyrick McGee in their limited time on the pitch together. The Clarendon-based club is winless in their last 10, but can they do the unthinkable and beat Mobe when they face each other this Sunday? Harbour versus Cavalier. Vere may be struggling, but at least they aren't dead last. No, that unfortunate status goes to their Clarendon neighbours Harbour. The Lions didn't receive their customary new coach bunks when new coach Alex Thomas took over a few weeks ago, but they are playing somewhat better in the last couple of games. But with only 18 points on the board and 13 games remaining, no one cares about performances at the moment if they don't produce wins. But luck may be on their side this weekend as a possible distracted Cavalier rolls into town. The defending champs have been having an up and down season by their standard, but they did look somewhat like their old selves when they defeated Chapelton last week. But they do have a massive clash in the CONCACAF Champions Cup on the horizon, so they might be a bit distracted in Clarendon this Sunday. We will find out this Sunday when Cavalier face Harbour at 3 p.m. Harbour versus Chapelton Maroons. Speaking of Chapelton, there are 2 in desperate need of points as they only sit 1 place outside the relegation zone. They also have been on dreadful form as they only collected 2 points from their last 5 matches. And what's even more puzzling is that their best player, Demare Deacon, has spent most of his time on the bench during that run. Coach Jermaine Douglas has turned to youth with the likes of Dustin Cohen and Daniel Watson getting the nod in the starting 11, but if Chapelton goes down, many will question this plan. Things could not be any more of a total contrast over at Harbour. The Stars of the East have successfully turned things around off the back of gathering 8 points from their last 5 games. Sure, the job is not over yet, but they have finally have a settled starting 11, and more importantly, they have found some goals in the squad once again. But the Maroons don't have recent history on their side after beating Harbour twice already this season, and thus will be looking to completing the triple come this Sunday. But will the Stars of the East get their revenge? We will see when Harbour takes on Chapelton Maroons this Sunday at the compound. Tivoli Gardens versus Molynes United. After losing 4 games in a row and being winless in their last 6, all of a sudden, Molynes find themselves squarely back in a relegation dogfight. Coach Jermaine Thomas has big problems on his hands as the goals have dried up, and unfortunately, they lost wonder kid Devon Davis to injury. But some good news, Marlon Pennycook made a scoring return from injury last time out and may be set for a start this Sunday. Tivoli's main marksman also made a scoring return this past weekend. Anthony Nelson has breathed new life into Tivoli's struggling attack, and he came at the right time with the 6th position coming into focus. Even better, Tivoli are looking tough to beat since returning to the Edward Siaga Sports Complex, but they do need to be a bit more consistent after only managing 1 win in their last 5 matches if they harbour any hopes of catching Waterhouse in 6. While Molynes just need a win to stop the losing streak and will be hoping to beat Tivoli for the first time in 4 matches, including their last meeting when they lost 2-0. This should be a fun one when Tivoli Guards take on Molynes United this Sunday. Waterhouse versus Racing United. Now, onto what I believe is the biggest match this weekend, and Racing comes to Jerusalem to take on a struggling Waterhouse team with the final playoff spot on the line. Firehouse Nation gave their fans something to cheer about after a rare win in Jerusalem against Portmore, but they know they can't afford to slip up this weekend with their opponents being only 3 points behind. Head coach Marcel Gale is definitely under pressure, but he does have some shining beacons available to lead him out of the darkness. Youngster Dylan John has brought a spark down that left-hand side, as well as Bajan player Omani Leacock is proving to be a smart pickup this January. But it is the form of star player Andre Fletcher where their fates lie with, and if he continues to shine, they might see playoff action this season. But their first big test will be against a rampaging Racing. The Portmore-based club have been having an impressive 2025 so far with a 9-game unbeaten run. It's even more impressive when you realize they did this mostly without their talisman Ronaldo Biggs and with a team that saw over 9 new players joining in January. No longer the objective for them is to survive, but it is now to conquer, knowing that a 4-goal victory this Sunday will see them leapfrog their hosts. Honestly, this one should not be missed when Waterhouse hosts Racing United 5:30 p.m. this Sunday. Portmore United versus Mount Pleasant. The first game of the Monday doubleheader will see a clash of great defenses. Both Portmore and Mount Pleasant have been some of the meanest defense so far this season, but that's as far as their similarities go. Portmore is struggling in front of goal with young Tej Bryan being their leading goal scorer with only 5 goals. Not good enough, especially for a team that does create a decent amount of chances each match they play. The likes of Carlos Bemba has been trying, but I also believe that they need a little more from talisman Romero Guthrie to make sure they remain in the top 6. This is a stark contrast to the league leaders. Mount Pleasant have been absolutely trolling through the regular season so far, with them being on pace to score close to 100 goals and acquiring 90 points. Montego Bay may have slowed them down a bit last time out, but the St. Anne-based club just seems like an unstoppable train all the way up to the playoffs. This might be a tricky encounter though, especially without Bailey and Anglin, but I am sure Mount Pleasant fans will remind me that they haven't lost to Portmore in 7 games. We will see if Portmore manages to slow down the train when they face Mount Pleasant 5 p.m. this Monday. Arnett Guns versus Dunbeholden. Another very intriguing encounter as both these two clubs have similar records in their last 5 matches. Dunbeholden is now a completely different club under Harold Thomas and will walk into the jungle without fear and full of confidence. I was pretty surprised that they let in 2 goals against Umber Lion, but expect a return to a more conservative approach in their battle with the junglers. As for Arnett Guns, they actually have been below par in the last 3 matches, but had grind out some good results nonetheless. Both of their number 9s have scored recently, but they will need their wingers return to goal scoring form to really bring back the entertaining club we have all been witnessing for the majority of this season. Dunbeholden won't make it easy for them, of course, and will be seeking to avoid losing to Arnett for a 3rd time this season. It should be a showstopper when Arnett Guns hosts Dunbeholden 7:45 this Monday. So that's it for the games, but before my predictions, here's a look at this week's news. So after weeks of waiting, Cavalier finally learned who they'll be facing in the round of 16 in the Concacaf Champions Cup this past week, where Inter Miami defeated fellow MLS club Sporting Kansas City 4-1 on aggregate. Of course, Inter is the current club of one Lionel Messi, and tickets are already selling like hotcakes for his expected arrival in the coming weeks. Cavalier will face Inter Miami on March 6 in Fort Lauderdale for leg 1 before facing them on March 13 at home in leg 2. Fingers crossed the National Stadium will be ready. Okay, moving on to the senior reggae girls who have completed an impressive tour of Peru this past Wednesday. Team Jamaica played Peru in 2 friendlies, beating their South American hosts 2-0 and 3-2 respectively. However, the junior girls didn't have the same luck in their World Cup qualifiers, unfortunately. The U20 team faced Nicaragua in their final match of the first round, only needing a win to advance to the next stage. Unfortunately, the match ended 1-1 and saw another World Cup campaign ending early. And finally, the newly revamped Jamaica's Women's Premier League kicks off this Saturday. Here are the fixtures on the screen. So that's it for the news. Time for the fun part. Time for my predictions. Alright, Vere versus Montego Bay United. Alright, Moby are not looking silky smooth since the change in coach, but you should believe that they have enough firepower to take down Vere. I see this ending Moby 2, Vere and Phoenix United 1. Molynes versus Cavalier. As I said to you, Cavalier should be distracted and probably enter this match heavily rotated. The last time they faced each other at Everettsville, it ended 1-1, and I can't see that happening again. Harbour versus Chapelton. This Harbour team is a completely different side from the last time these two teams faced each other. I also think Harbour will have to be comfortable at the compound and win out 2-0. Tivoli versus Molynes. Molynes are not looking their sharpest, while Tivoli does have Anthony Nelson back and might be playing at the Edward Siaga complex. I would say Tivoli 2, Molynes United 1. Waterhouse versus Racing, a tough game to call, but I think Racing will edge this one. I think Racing will get by in Jerusalem 1-0. Portmore versus Mount Pleasant. I don't actually see Portmore getting a goal against Mount Pleasant, unfortunately. So I'm going to say Mount Pleasant edge them 1-0. And Arnett versus Dunbeholden. Not so easy to call actually. And I can also see this ending in a 1-1 draw. But alright, that's all I got for this preview show for match week 27. Let me know in the comment section below your own predictions for these upcoming fixtures this weekend. Otherwise, please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on the Jamaica Premier League leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place, JPL fan. YouTube, big up yourself.